Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into something called the survival coin, why we needed the tribe. And we're going to completely shatter this modern illusion of independence by dropping you roughly 300,000 years in the past. You know, we love to celebrate the idea of the rugged, self-made individual who doesn't need anybody's help. But when you actually look at the historical and archaeological record, an entirely different picture emerges. We're going to explore two very distinct scenarios from ancient history. One about bringing new life into the world, and one about dealing with the absolute worst troublemaker in camp, just to show you exactly why human survival was literally never a solo project. Because think about this for a second. For 300,000 years, being alone was arguably the most dangerous thing in the world. Human survival just wasn't about rugged individualism. I mean, a broken leg could completely end your ability to hunt, a minor infection could become fatal, and a string of bad luck just meant starvation. You simply couldn't make it on your own. You were fundamentally 100% dependent on your community and their cooperation. The tribe was literally everything.
Which brings us to our first section, the power of support, and how the tribe actually caught us when we were vulnerable. To really grasp this, I want you to imagine you're 9 months pregnant 50,000 years ago, entering what is hands down the single most dangerous moment of your life.
There are no hospitals, no sterile rooms, no epidurals, right? But the archaeological record shows that women never did this alone. Literally not once. The second an ancient woman realized she was pregnant, the entire group's behavior shifted. She didn't get isolated or pushed to the sidelines. Instead, she became the center of what anthropologists call cooperative breeding. This is this intricate social support network where tribe members take over physical labor and share survival knowledge. Other women, especially the older ones who had already been through childbirth, they immediately stepped up. They shifted their daily roles, brought her extra food, and shared centuries of refined knowledge. And this wasn't just them being nice. This is a strict biological survival strategy. And it is crucial to understand why this support was so desperately needed. Just look at this staggering number. 1 in 3. Human birth is uniquely dangerous compared to other primates. Because we evolved to walk upright, our pelvic openings are relatively small, but our babies have these massive heads to house our big brains. So without any intervention or support at all, estimates show that roughly 1 in 3 women died in childbirth throughout human history. The tribe absolutely had to intervene. And this paints a really brilliant picture, because ancient birth wasn't some chaotic screaming emergency happening out in the dirt. It was a highly orchestrated community event. They actually used specific prehistoric birthing clearings, equipped with specialized tools and burned medicinal plants. The laboring woman would be surrounded by 3 to 5 specialized women, and each one had a distinct job. One is checking dilation in the baby's position, another is providing actual physical weight support so the mother could squat and use gravity. A third is prepping warm water and medicinal plants, while the others are keeping the fire going and keeping an eye out for predators. It's really fascinating to contrast that with our modern experiences, isn't it? In a hospital today, a woman is often lying flat on her back in a sterile room surrounded by rotating medical staff she might be meeting for the very first time. But the ancient cooperative model was the exact opposite. Women were upright, moving around, using gravity, and most importantly, they were surrounded by trusted, lifelong specialists who had known them their entire lives. These women were humanity's very first medical professionals. Now you might be wondering, did all that ancient emotional support actually work? Well, a massive 2017 study published in the journal Birth analyzed over 15,000 births. And what they found is that continuous emotional support from an experienced woman actually leads to labors that are 25% shorter, plus there's significantly fewer medical interventions and way higher overall satisfaction.
So we are literally rediscovering ancient wisdom in modern medicine today. Upright positioning to cut down labor time, immediate skin-to-skin contact, continuous doula care, even delayed cord clamping, waiting to cut the umbilical cord so blood transfers to the baby, that was being practiced by ancient midwives 50,000 years ago. This was highly refined, life-saving knowledge passed down orally across thousands of generations. And they figured all of this out without a single clinical trial, simply because their survival depended on it.
Okay, so if incredible community support was our greatest asset, it begs the question, what happened when someone threatened that fragile cooperation? How did our ancestors handle a liar, a thief, or just someone nobody trusted? Because remember, back then there are no police, no written laws, and definitely no prisons. That takes us to our second section, the danger of isolation and the terrifying withdrawal of social support. I want you to picture sitting around a campfire 30,000 years ago. The tribe brought in plenty of meat earlier that day, but suddenly, some of it just vanishes. It's the third time this week, and everybody knows exactly who the suspect is. The tribe has to decide what they're going to do about him. To really understand this, we have to completely shift our paradigm. In our modern world, we think of punishment as an action,
fines, arrests, maybe physical force. But for ancient humans, the absolute worst punishment wasn't what happened to the troublemaker. It was what stopped happening to them. Removing someone physically, or killing them, cost the tribe immensely because every adult provided valuable labor and hunting skills. So instead of using immediate violence, the tribe weaponized reputation and gossip.
Let's walk through how prehistoric justice actually escalated, because it was a terrifyingly quiet system. Step 1 was gossip, and this wasn't just ancient humans being petty, it was a highly efficient way for the tribe to rapidly share information about who was trustworthy. Step 2 is distancing. Little acts of trust slowly disappear. The suspect just isn't asked to join the hunting party anymore. Step 3 brings in public ridicule, specifically designed to shrink their ego and keep anyone from feeling like they're bigger than the group. And finally, Step 4, complete social isolation. You're still physically in the camp, but socially, you are a ghost. You're entirely cut off. And this brings us to the biological toll of rejection, and exactly why embarrassment still haunts us today. Because this quiet isolation, it wasn't just about feeling a little left out. It triggered a massive, deep biological alarm bell inside the troublemaker. This biological toll is so deeply embedded in our DNA, and it perfectly explains why things like embarrassment and social anxiety still hit us like a ton of bricks right now.
Modern neuroimaging studies have actually revealed something absolutely mind-blowing. Social rejection activates some of the exact same regions in your brain as physical pain. Literally, your brain processes the loss of your social standing as if you've just been physically injured. To your nervous system, losing the trust of the 40 people around you isn't just a minor inconvenience, it is an active physical emergency. This completely reframes how we need to think about our own emotions. Embarrassment isn't just you being overly sensitive. It's a highly evolved social warning system. Just like physical pain warns you to pull your hand away from a hot stove, that awful twisting feeling in your stomach over a minor social mistake is an ancient alarm system just screaming at you. It's telling you to correct your behavior right now because losing your standing in the group is a literal threat to your life. But what if that warning system failed? What if a bad actor just refused to change, kept stealing, and was ultimately exiled from the tribe? Well, anthropologists suggest that exile was actually perceived as worse than death. Death is final, it's immediate. But exile? That meant you were forced to face predators, disease, injuries, and starvation entirely alone. You were completely stripped of the survival network you relied on for literally everything. So here we are at the two sides of survival. These two extremes, the deeply orchestrated physiological benefits of a supportive birth and the agonizing biological pain of social rejection, they're really just two sides of the exact same evolutionary coin. They represent the legacy of the campfire, the undeniable fact that the group is what kept us alive.
I think anthropologists really summarize it best. For hundreds of thousands of years, humans survived because they belonged to groups. Our ancestors didn't make it through the most dangerous, terrifying moments of their lives because they were individually tough or because they had shark teeth and claws. They survived because they built these tight-knit communities that caught them when they fell, supported them when they were vulnerable, and demanded cooperation for the good of the whole group. So I'm going to leave you with this final, provocative thought to ponder today. When we feel that primal anxiety creeping in, are we truly afraid of the dark? Or are we just afraid of the empty space beside the fire? The whole reason we still care so deeply about belonging today, the reason rejection hurts so much, is because our brains remember that ancient darkness. And in that darkness, being alone meant you wouldn't survive the night.